If you're anything like me, you are probably having some trouble understanding how you can send functions inside another functions. But take it easy. In this video, we are going to understand what is a callback function, how to create them, where you should want to use it, and obviously, some real-world examples, so you can already start using them in your own projects. So, without further ado, let's get straight into the video. Higher order functions are functions that can either receive functions as arguments or return functions as their result. The most important part are the functions that receive functions as argument. But now, a callback function consists in a method in JavaScript that is sent into another function as parameter. If you put them together, the callback function is sent to the higher order function that is waiting for a callback function, right? Just like the forEach method and an example of an inbuilt method in JavaScript for arrays, the forEach, in which you put a function that's going to be repeated for every item of the array. Let's have a look in this example. You have here a chatbot sending tell me a joke chatbot like a message from a user, and a tell joke, which is a function that returns a joke. So we receive here a message and a callback. The message is sent by the user, then we wait 2 seconds and the chatbot says that he's going to think about it. Then we wait another 2 seconds and the chatbot gets a joke from somewhere else, the callback function, in which you send the function, but you don't execute it, you just send it, and it is only executed inside of the function, inside of the higher order function, right? And this function only returns a piece of string, a text. It could have an array or something like that, or from a database, and get random jokes, but in this case it's just only this one. Need to focus on this, you are going to use this later. Joke is going to be here as a parameter without parentheses, and is only going to use parentheses when calling it inside of the higher order function. And for you that want a recapitulation, functions are reusable blocks of code that can perform a specific task, or a group of tasks, like operations one after the other. They can either accept input parameters and return output values, like return a function or return OK. And once defined, functions can be called from anywhere in your code, which can be incredibly useful to maintain your code simpler and more readable. Check this example of function. Someone that watches Diogo Veigas usually enters the video, likes the video, watches it till the end, and only then leaves a comment and then leaves the video. This is a function that calls a lot of functions, don't receive anything as parameter, nor return anything, and always do these things, they like, watch until the end and leave the comment. If you didn't remember, you can just do it now. And in this video, I'll cover 2 different types of functions. While there's a wide range of options that you can pick from, we are just going to focus on these 2. The first is going to be the normal function, in which you put the function keywords. Then you need also a name, so say hello. Then the parentheses, it can or not take arguments, but you can put argument 1 and 2. As an example, receiving 2 arguments. Then you can do something here, like a console log, do something. And last you can return something, like return undefined, which is the normal value, the default value for returning. If you want to be different, put false, or true, or just remove it. It's really up to you, but this is what a normal function receives. Arguments, a returning, and usually, which is the most important, it's what it does. It's not about what it returns or what it receives, but what it does. And there is also the arrow function that is usually used when you want to make anonymous stuff. But let's firstly cover the syntax. You usually come here and put a parenthesis for the arguments, you see, for the arg1 and the 2 and whatever you want. And it usually gets an equals and the bigger sign, so it makes like an arrow from the name, you know. And then curly braces, and this is already a function. Then you can do something here, and you can also return something down there. Now, this is kind of anonymous because it doesn't have a name. It is not defined in anywhere. It's just there. It's not even executed, it's just there. If you want to execute it, you could put a parenthesis as an example, but not even in this case. What you would need to do to make this usable in other places of your code, you would need to make a variable like a const do something equals to this. It can even be let or var or even don't have anything. It doesn't really need to have a variable. But this way you can use the do something in other parts of your code. But now, if you are one of those people who like to show off their coding skills with fancy syntax, well, this can get pretty wild. You can, as an example, remove the return keyword, remove these things, and then just leave it like this, and this would do the same thing. It can get really whoa. But for these mere mortals that just want to make your code work for the first time, at least one time, don't worry, this is already plenty. Now we are finally going to make some actual coding. We are going to use the setTimeout function, that is a higher order method. So you create a function that is going to say hi. This is going to be the callback function. Then let's just come here and put a say hi, the function, the callback function. You can put the parentheses because the other way it is going to be executed instead of actually used. And then you put here the 2000 or 5000. It's the number in milliseconds, so it's going to take 5 seconds. Anytime it is going to... There it goes. Of course, you can change what the method does, but the moment you put on it like this, it is going to call instantly. It's not going to wait. We are already reaching the climax of this video, which is a real-world example. Actually, there are two, but okay. And the first one is going to be basically showing all of the books and authors of a bookstore. And they are already here, stored in an array. This array has a title and a book of each object. So 2 attributes for each object. 50 Shades of Callbacks, the Callback Diaries, the Art of Callbacks, you guys. You need to check that book. No, it's not a real book. Then what you need to do is showing every single book. What do you need to do if you want to make something for each individual book? Right, guys? Books.forEach. And then you just need to put the parentheses and put something inside. Okay. It is asking for a callback function. And this is an argument. This argument doesn't matter, but callback function should also receive something like a value. You see here, callback function value. Basically, it's saying that it needs to receive an object, like the ones that are in the array. Let's just create a function, then show book and receive a book, because we are going to receive a book. We are going to receive an object. It's what's saying here. Look, we need to make a callback function in a forEach that has a value that is an object with a title and other. It's basically this. Then console.log, and now we can use the template literals just to make it faster. Put these 2 accents, top left, top left. Then you put dollar, curly braces, and put the book.title. And now you're already receiving the title of the book. And if you copy this, you can just change the order. And then you can put book title. The quotes here are just for visuals because they don't do anything. They are just there to show it's a book. Title of the book is nice to have these quotes. Wrote by and the name of the author. And with this function should already show book 50 Shades of Callbacks wrote by EL Callback. Then the really last thing you should do is putting the callback function here inside of forEach and put the parentheses, the book, right like I've told you guys. No, guys. A callback function never receives parentheses nor arguments. It can receive arguments in there, around there, it can, in the function creation, but inside of the arguments for the higher order function, you don't put anything there, just put a name, just an identifier, because it is going to be called inside of the forEach. Alright, guys? This is the way it's going to work. Book 50 Shades of Callbacks wrote by L Callback, as an example. But if you put here the parentheses and put the book, firstly the book is going to be undefined, right? And the rest I don't even know, because I don't think so much ahead. And this is pretty simple, right, guys? But if you want to understand even better how the callback functions work, one thing, let's talk to each other for a moment. Do you want to use this showBook function anywhere in your code? Or is it just for this higher order method? If you're going to use it anywhere else, okay, this way is fine. But if you are only going to use it one time in that place, come on, let's make it anonymous. We don't need to make a name for it. So I just cut and paste it here inside. It's still working perfectly fine. But one thing that I can change is the definition. I don't need to define a name for it. And then if I come here without a name, even without a name, it's working. But of course, if I come back, I cannot really even think of actually calling for it because it doesn't have a name anymore. So, well, it is really now anonymous. And if you want, you can change a little bit how you want to show it. The format is really up to you. My automatic formatter, it even goes like this, it accepts this. It's fine. And if you want to understand better what the forEach method does, well, why not click on that video, forEach for everybody, and have a look. You can always check that video out if you want. And now, for the second example. Let's say that we got some Celsius temperatures, and we started inside of an array. I know, guys, if you are studying computer science, you have already done a lot of those exercises of the Celsius and the Fahrenheit and Kelvin conversion temperature, and I know, it can be boring, but in this example, it's not about this, it's about how you can use the callback functions with this. Alright guys, so let's have a look, relax, and try to enjoy it. So, since we got some temperatures, we want to convert it to the Fahrenheit. So, we are going to receive the Celsius, right? And this is an array, so we can use an array method, right? If we use an array method, map should be nice, since the map receives an array, it returns an array of the exact same length. So let's just Celsius.map. And what does the map receive? Callback function, which needs to have a number. Well, obviously it is going to receive a value, the single temperature, alright? And for that, we are going to create a callback function. The callback function is basically making the conversion for one single temperature. So, const convert, yes, we are not going to use the normal function, we are going to use the arrow function. Is equals to the parentheses, we are going to receive Celsius temp, then you are going to use the curly braces, the arrow, right? All those stuff that I just told you previously. And then return the Celsius temperature, but this time multiplied by 5 nths or something like that. No, it's 9/5. And then plus 32. In this case, if you put the convert here, just like this, remember? No parentheses, no parameters, just like this. And then if you put const converted, the map returns an array. Probably want to store it, you know? You probably want to store it, otherwise it is simply going there. And let's check it out. Well, we got a different array from the previous one. Let's just get the Celsius as well, so you can have a look on the differences. Looking pretty nice in my opinion, right? It looks like converted. But now, wouldn't you rather use some anonymous functions? Let's just cut from here and put inside of here. Now, we can also remove the convert, and this way, we've already made it better. It's already faster. And then, again, you can come here, remove the return, remove the curly braces, and just have the returning value. In this way, we converted that big thing around that was previously here to this, to a single line map method. Pretty nice in my opinion. And there are another two things that I want to reinforce about these functions, callback functions. You only want to make it anonymous if you don't want to use the function anywhere else in your code. And second, arrow functions are usually better than anonymous functions because they're faster, and since you don't have anything except the returning value, you don't even need the return keyword, you just put this after the arrow. And if you want to learn more about the map method, make sure to click in that video. Check it now or later, but make sure to watch it, because in there we thoroughly explain how it works and give some actual examples for the map method. In this case, it's more about the callback function itself. And now we'll be trying to make a higher order function. And if you still remember, there are two types of them. The ones that receive a function and those that return a function. And the first we are going to make is the receiving a function. We are going to create a customized forEach. So the forEach basically going to be something like function my forEach. We are going to receive an array and a callback. And now the only thing you need to do is iterating through the array. So for const item of array, this is the iterator loop. If you don't know, well, go study. And then we just need to execute the item with, or in the opposite, the callback function with the item as parameter. And now we just need to call the actual forEach. So let's just make an array really fast. It can be numbers, characters, true or falses, text, doesn't matter. Users. Those are our users. Let's just do something to them. We are just going to show them. So the only thing that you need to do is calling the my forEach, putting the users, and put a callback function. Let's just make an anonymous, right? Just to start using it. So we are going to receive a user, and we are also going to make something to the user. So what do we want to do? Probably console log the user, and put here a plus and the user itself. I think this is pretty good. What do you think, guys? Do you think this works? Let's have a look. It actually works. It prints every single user with the word user previously. And this is pretty simple for each, right? It simply uses the iterator to run through every item, so you don't need to put the index and boring stuff about a normal for loop. And it repeats the callback function it just made, so console log with this, for every single item. There's also the other type of higher order function that returns a function. Let's have a look. We are going to make something that is going to be responsible for storing a value, something like a closure. Let's create a function that is going to have a value, which is going to be multiply by. It's going to be only multiply by as well. Yeah, multiply by as well seems fine. Then you return a function. It can be anonymous or even should be anonymous. It's going to receive multiplied by. One is going to multiply by, the other is going to be multiplied, since it's the second one. It's like 1 times 2. And this is going to be returning the multiply by times multiplied by. And now, in order to use this, we are going to make some tests. Console.log, we are going to use the multiply by and put it 3. If you come here, we are going to receive a function, multiplied by, return multiply by times multiply by. You probably haven't really understood, but firstly, this is an anonymous function, doesn't have a name. Get out from here, console. And then it is going to receive a multiplied by. But if you come here, multiplied by, it's the second one, it's not the first one. So what this is going to do is actually storing the 3 here and returning this function here that's receiving multiplied by. If you make this like an object, I'll show you guys. If you return an object and the function is going to be like this, and then the multiply by, so let's use as an example the number is going to be multiplied by, we'll be able to check. Stop this debugger, please. I don't want it. I don't want it. Okay, it stopped. Now, if you come here, you can check that the function is still here, that's receiving the multiplied by, but you are also receiving the number 3, which is stored and is preserved inside of here. So, what you can do with this? I'm going to show you guys what you can do. Since the 3 is already there, you just need to store it in a variable, const, this is the name, this is the value, okay, the name we should be mult3 as an example. And then if you use the mult3, it's going to actually return the value that we wanted. So the first one is going to be the first one, first argument, first parameter. Then the second argument is going to be 5, it's the second argument, and then it is going to return the 3 times 5, which is going to be here, the mult3 by 5, which is probably 15. Let's have a look, console. Why am I having these, guys? And as you can see here in the console, we got 15, because 3 times 5 is 15. And it's not only this. For the multiplication, it doesn't really make much sense. But if you come here and do more of those, as an example, mult9 and just put here the 9, and instead of using the mult3, you can also use the mult9, you are going to receive 9 times 5, which should be something like 45, you know? There we go, 45. And with this, I've clarified how higher order functions can either receive or return functions. Pretty simple, right, guys? Now, let's have a look on the best practices that you can make using the callback function, or more of them. They can be divided in 3 categories: appropriate names, short and simple, and avoid asynchronous. Let's understand it. Always make sure that the variables, the functions, the callback functions, the methods, everything has good names. This way, anybody, or even you of the future, can understand it good when you want to read it, you know? When you don't know what it is, but then you read the code and it is understandable. It is pretty much understandable. And if you want to make sure that you don't mess things up, document your code. You can either leave some comments in your code, or just have a separate document in which you describe the functions of your code. It depends on the size of your project. You should also try to avoid making higher order functions and callback functions really nested and clumped together. Divide them, make them simple, especially if they are anonymous ones, because if they are anonymous they could be even harder to debug. So try to make them small and simple. And lastly, if you intend to use asynchronous code, try to use promises or async await methods, functions, separate functions. It makes your code cleaner and more readable. Don't put everything together. Really guys, trust me, it doesn't work like that. And now that you finally understand how function inside functions work, my bad, callback functions, why not take action and make the most out of this video by clicking in that video about forEach and forEach for everybody and understand a little bit better the array functions of JavaScript. And finally, thank you for watching this video until here. If you still have any doubts, leave a comment that will help you out. I'm Diogo Veigas and I'll see you in the next video.